Gen Z and Millennials live in a pit of rage against the older generations, claiming boomers had it easy because they could survive off of one income, or possibly because they were privileged enough to be able to buy a home and start a family around the age of 21, while boomers complain that these kids are entitled, lazy, and good for nothing. In this video, let's discuss both sides of the divided generations and possibly get down to the root cause of why they are so divided in modern times. And if you personally have been enjoying these daily doomer commentaries I've been making over here on the page, then feel free to like, comment your thoughts and opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily uploads right here on the channel. And a huge shout out to the few of you that go above and beyond and check out those links down below in the description. Those are some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. Now, let's begin this shit show.
Boomers hated spending money on their children. They were the stingiest fucking parents in modern history, despite living in one of the biggest economic booms. Like, if you asked for money for a Scholastic book, they acted like you were about to send them into foreclosure. That meme, you got McDonald's money, we got food at home, that comes from the boomers, okay? And then you grow up and realize that Happy Meals were fucking $1.99 when I was a kid. You can't come up off $2 for your kids? Come on now. $10 to go to the movies with your friends? What do you think, money grows on trees? When are you gonna start supporting yourself? You're already 14 years old. You should have had a job. The only way you're getting boomer parents to spend money on you is, one, if they can do it without cutting into any of their regular pleasures, and two, if it's gonna make them look good to somebody else. Like, if they can somehow show that off and be like, look at me, this is amazing parent because I paid for this one thing, okay, then you might get the money. But you're gonna have to do all the chores for 2 weeks, okay? And if you whine about anything for the next 3 years, they're gonna bring up how you're ungrateful for that one time that they spent fucking $20 on you, okay? So after
the boomer hate is strong with this one. But, I don't know, I'll just take a stab in the dark, and I might say that maybe this girl might have been projecting here in this video a little bit. I might even go against the book, like, hitting a soft 13 when the dealer has a 2, and say that this girl has daddy issues. She might not have a very good relationship with her father, or her mom, any of her parents. Because the way she's talking definitely feels like maybe she's had some past trauma in the past that she's just projecting, like I said in the beginning of this reaction here, this little commentary piece. But I definitely think that many younger people feel this way because many of their parents definitely act similar. Like, a lot of past videos I've reacted and touched on different perspectives where, I've even experienced where my parents were able to buy so many things. They were able to go on vacations. My older siblings, who are millennials, they were able to go on many vacations. While me, Gen Z, the money kind of dried up once I was around in the nest, and there wasn't really too much money to spread around anymore. And it's not necessarily the boomers' fault. I think it's the economy as a whole, and we shouldn't just paint old people as the overall problem. Although I definitely think that if we're going to start, pointing fingers, maybe we should start pointing fingers at ourselves and realizing, how are we going to fix this mess? How can I get ahead in this modern day economy? Now, if your parents aren't going to help you, then I guess that means you're going to have to buckle up your bootstraps, dig them deep in the dirt, and stop getting those $5 coffees. But even if you've been doing that, which I know I've never bought a $5 coffee in my life, I don't even like coffee. That's just my opinion. But I don't really think that's really going to get us ahead in modern day. But either way, the main point I always like to push in the majority of my videos is I don't really like to paint pictures on overall groups of people. So I don't think old people are to blame. I think it's just kind of the current state of the society that we need to start thinking about how can we get this wheel spinning so we can actually start rolling. But at the end of the day, none of us who are really running the system from the bottom are really in charge of anything that happens up top. So how much control do we really have? Debatable, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, opinions about all that down below in the comments, so feel free to let me know.
Gen Z says boomers will never understand today's struggle because they could afford to buy a Cadillac off of a $30,000 salary and be able to qualify for a home. Why can't you just admit that it was easier 30, 40 years ago? I am 36 years old. Just 15 years ago, when I was 21, living in Los Angeles, one of the most expensive cities in the country, I was crushing it, making $2,200 a month, serving at the Outback Steakhouse just 4 days a week. Me and my buddy split a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment. Our groceries were $50 a week a piece. We used to go to breakfast 3 days a week. We used to go to the bars 3 days a week. We furnished our entire apartment. We used to go buy DVD sets. We had disposable income. We were saving money off of $2,200. We were never worried about bills at all. And then $100,000 back in the day, just 12 years ago, you were crushing it. When I first made my first $100,000, I went and got a BMW. You know what the monthly payment was? $333. One of the nicest apartments in LA, a 2-bed, 2-bath plus loft, was $2,300. Today, $2,300 is a studio apartment. You need at least $200,000 to feel the same purchasing power as you did just 12 years ago with the $100,000. I don't know why the boomers can't admit that.
Now, I can't be the only one who's watching these videos or even watching my videos that was around long enough to experience that back in the 2000s, even in 2010s, making $100,000 a year, $100K yearly salary was a great living. That was actually enough to, one, just like not just like sustain yourself, but actually live a decent lifestyle, like almost a little bit above modern, like the modern average lifestyle if you live in certain places. This guy said in LA he was able to do all that stuff, and that was, only a little over a decade ago, which, guys, is not that long of time. If you guys are younger, if you guys are just new adults and you're, later teens, early 20s, trust me, guys, time goes by quick. So you're going to be 30, 40, 50 before you know it, and imagine how the economy will be then. So that's why I definitely think people should really start listening up and really understanding that, like, this devaluation of the dollar, the way that the expenses are going, the way that the rent ups every single year and does not match the pay increases, is something that we should be not only worried about, but paying attention to. And maybe, I'm not saying we should just, like, revolt, but I definitely think that we should definitely pay attention to it, because it's not getting any better, and year by year, as far as I've been able to tell, it's only getting worse, especially for newfound people, Gen Z, Millennials, and eventually Gen Alpha, entering the workforce, economy, and housing market. So feel free to let me know all your guys' opinions, what age you are, your generation, and what have you experienced personally throughout any of the stuff listed just now. So feel free to let me know down below in the comments.
My wife and I had our boys, 27, 30 years ago. It was like buying a house. "Oh, you think we're ready to have kids? Okay, let's have kids." When we decided to buy our first house in Toronto, it was, should we buy a house? Well, I didn't really want to, but my wife said we should, and everybody in the family said we should. So we did. We took 6 months and saved a down payment, and then we bought a house. The simple life of the early 90s. And I think a lot of boomers do not understand this unless they have kids of that age.
Well, it's crazy. Like, first off, when you said we took 6 months and saved for the down payment, there's a lot of people who now want to come through our screen and punch both of us in the head because it takes years to save a proper
Well, you know
down
what?
payment now.
We had it easier. I have no problem admitting that. Way easier. Yeah, interest rates were really high, but they spent 30 years coming down after that. You know what? My wife and I never renewed a mortgage for a higher interest rate.
Couldn't agree with you more. How about the people out there, and often baby boomers, people our age, who say, "Oh, it's always been difficult. It was hard when we started out too, and kids are traveling so much." Just look at the cost of a home relative to income, or the percentage of your income that has to be spent on the home, including, by the way, rising property taxes, rising insurance, greater than inflation rate paces. I don't know how people can make the argument that it's easier now or the same now. It's not.
Now, I feel like this can definitely humble some hearts of some of the younger generation that's hearing some of these videos that we watch on here in my videos, and actually realize not every older person in the older generations actually feel the way that you probably assume. You see the stereotypical opinion on social media. These face cards don't always hold true value. But I do want to say that, think about that, only 6 months save up time to buy a down payment, to purchase for a down payment on a home, a real home, actual place to live. Crazy to think. Now, do the math on your expenses, and please let me know down below in the comments how long it would take you to save up for a down payment on maybe the home you live in, the home you would want to live in one day, or any home at all, even the cheapest one in your area. Because I know, obviously, everybody lives a little in different locations. That definitely adds the factor into it. But the thing that everybody always goes back to is the home prices, because that has gone severely so up, including the college prices. If you want to get an education, which was sold, through my public education, was sold to me as the only way to get ahead. I skipped out and I went straight into the workforce, because I've always thought that actual experience means a lot more than what you can, say you can do on a piece of paper. But I guess really the college degree, in my opinion, is to show that you're dedicated enough to actually do something for a long enough amount of time and you actually want it. But I think if you actually just put your hands into the dirt, you can actually make it happen. So, and I don't really do blue collar work, but the hands in the dirt was an expression. So let's just move along with me, right? So, but what a crazy world that we live in, that the people in your family had such a different economic standpoint than you, and maybe your kids will have such a different one than you have right now. Better or worse? Let me know in the comments your opinion, how the future of the economic status of the next couple decades will pan out. In my opinion, who fucking knows? That's going to wrap up this video discussing how Gen Z and Millennials are screwed over in this time of life in modern society, and how boomers couldn't care less and are riding off in the sunset on their jet skis, second homes, and Hugh Hefner Playboy Bunny Mansion girls. But either way, I'd love to hear all your guys' thoughts and opinions regarding anything discussed in this video. So feel free to let me know all that shit down below in the comments. As well as a huge shout out to everybody that's been supporting the channel over here. We're finally getting quite a big push here on YouTube. Shout out the algorithm gods. And I plan to double down and continue to post uploads around here, maybe even double uploads a day if you guys have been enjoying them. Expect more content, and definitely these daily Doomer commentaries will continue, as well as my evening live streams. If you want to come chat with me, chat with the community, and get to know me a little more on a more personal, in-depth level, whatever, feel free to check those out. So huge shout out to you guys. Appreciate your ongoing support, and I hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.